put you in your place. Come here and speak to me like that in person.
Oh, is that so?
And bring your dad as well, and I'll put you both in your place. You and your father. I think you're afraid of the question.
I'm afraid. You're afraid to debate.
Okay,
rubbish,
right?
right?
No problem. I'm afraid. I'm a scared man. My question is,
Okay, thank you
my question is.
In this video, we're going to review a discussion between a Quran alone Muslim who rejects hadith and Muhammad Hijab, who is a Sunni Muslim who accepts the hadith. They debated one another about the different qira'at or readings of the Quran, specifically about the differences or variants between Qira'at Hafs an Asim versus Qira'at Shu'ba an Asim. Remember, there is one teacher, Asim, and Asim has two students who learned the Quran from him, Hafs and Shu'ba. Since there's only one teacher, both students should have learned the same exact Quran from their teacher. There should be no differences, right? So let's watch what happened in that discussion.
Look, Hafs is one student of Asim, Shu'ba is another. These are two prominent students of Asim. Okay, well,
correct.
Well, you know it very good. You're a clever man, very clever man you are. So you've got Hafs and you've got Shu'ba. Okay, so even if you remove Hafs from the equation completely, how many differences are there between Hafs and Shu'ba? In fact, in Farsh and in Qira'ah, for example, if you look at the things that change meaning, how many meanings? You don't have that many. In fact, you don't have any. You have 6 differences like da'f and da'f and these kind of things, and they don't change the meanings of the words.
Muhammad Hijab is incorrect here. He has no clue, and he should have taken the courses of Dr. Yasser Qadi, and here is why. In the book of Ibn al-Jazari, Ghayat al-Nihaya fi Tabaqat al-Qurra, in volume 1 on page 230, we read how Ibn al-Jazari quotes Ibn Mujahid, the expert on the Qira'at. Ibn Mujahid canonized the 7 canonical readings of the Quran. The Ibn Mujahid said that there are not just 1, 2, or 3 differences, but actually 520 differences between Hafs and Shu'ba, who is also known as Abi Bakr. So what do you mean there are no differences between Shu'ba and Hafs? You clueless and shameless liar, Ya Muhammad Hijab. And you already noticed, how can there be 520 differences if these two students had one teacher who taught them the Quran? This buries and destroys the claim, the lie called perfect Quranic preservation. And of course, we're going to show you some of these differences.
How many differences are there between Hafs and Shu'ba? In fact, in Farsh and in Qira'ah, for example, if you look at the things that change meaning, how many meanings? You don't have that many. In fact, you don't have any. You have 6 differences like da'f and da'f and these kind of things, and they don't change the meanings of the words.
That is another mistake from Muhammad Hijab regarding the da'fin and da'fin variant in chapter 30, ayah 54. The variant is not between Shu'ba and Hafs. They actually agree with one another, and here is the proof. But if Mimi Hijab paid attention and would have taken a course, he would have known that the variant is actually between both the students and the teacher, which proves that either the teacher Asim did not teach it correctly to his students, or the two students did not pay attention just like Hijab here and wrote instead Da'fin, while the teacher's Quran has Da'fin. And now we are left with a corrupted Quran. I'm not the one saying it. It is the expert himself, Ibn al-Jazari, who is mentioning that in his book. Ibn al-Jazari was the one who added the 3 extra canonical readings on top of the earlier 7 canonical readings, that of Ibn Mujahid. We find the info on the same page mentioned in the book of Ibn al-Jazari that Hafs his Quran was different than that of his teacher Asim in chapter 30, ayah 54, which proves again that there is no perfect Quranic preservation, because both the students had a different Quran than their teacher Asim. But how many Muslims know that? Muslims, you don't have the Quran of Asim. You have only the corrupted version or the corrupted Quran of the known fabricator and thief, the liar himself, Hafs. And I believe that the Al-Azhar University fixed that mistake in the 1924 Cairo edition when they then dumped their old Qurans in the Nile River to hide the evidence.
Actually, there is one where it does change the meaning in 5:6. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة, right? فامسحوا بوجوهكم وأيديكم
No, that's
إلى
not the
المرافق
difference.
وامسحوا
See, that's
برؤوسكم
not a
وأرجلكم.
difference. That's not the difference between Shu'bah and Hafs. You don't know what you're talking about. Now, as you look at
أرجلكم
Qira'at,
وأرجلكم.
yeah, the Arjulakum and Arjulikum is not
It's between
Arjulikum.
who and
What
who?
you said. Arjulakum is not the two different. What do you call it? Riwayahs are two different Qira'ats. That's why you're wrong. You're incorrect here. Yeah, you're
Brother,
wrong. So
actually-
you keep making mistakes. It's okay. You can continue making mistakes.
You're the one who's making mistakes, ya Muhammad Hijab. The audacity on this guy, man. Unbelievable. Actually, the Quran only guy is here correct, and he's schooling Muhammad Hijab because Hijab has no idea what he's talking about, or he's simply lying to his gullible Sunni audience who are listening to this embarrassing debate. Because the Quran only guy is schooling him here about chapter 5, ayah 6, and the difference is actually between Shu'bah and Hafs. You have no clue, ya Muhammad Hijab. The Quran only guy is schooling you here.
You can continue making mistakes, but you have to be ready to be corrected. These are two different qira'ahs. I'm talking to you about the difference between Hafs and Shu'bah, not between Asim and Nafi', for example, which is what you're bringing about. So you're wrong here. It's incorrect.
Actually, Nafi' agrees with the Hafs reading, but the problem, the variant is between Shu'bah and Hafs. So the Quran only guy is correct again. Let me try to say it in the only language that this buffoon understands. You're finished, boy! The difference or variant is between the Hafs and Shu'bah reading for this verse, and here is the proof. The Hafs reading says Arjulakum with the fatha on top of the letter Lam, but Shu'bah reads it as Arjulikum with a kasra underneath the letter Lam. The vowel changes the entire meaning of the verse. In the Hafs version, Allah commands the Muslims, wash your faces and your hands till your elbows, and wipe your heads and wash your feet till the ankles. But in the Quran of Shu'bah, Allah commands Muslims, wash your faces and your hands till your elbows, and wipe your heads and your feet till the ankles. So in Qira'at Shu'bah, you must wipe both your heads and your feet till the ankles. But in the Hafs version, you're commanded to only wipe your heads. By the way, Shia and Sunni still fight over this huge variant till this day. What a mess. So as you see, Muslims like Mimi Hijab are clueless. So what do you mean you have only one Quran with no different meanings between the many different Arabic Qira'at? And how can Shu'bah have a different Quran than Hafs with one teacher? And what happened to the so-called perfect Quranic preservation? And why would Muslims debate and even fight one another about this huge variant in chapter 5, ayah 6, if it wasn't such an important hot topic? Muslims even do takfir on one another and call each other innovators because they do the ablution ritual differently because of this very verse. So how and which body parts are you as a Muslim supposedly to wash or wipe to follow the sunnah of the Prophet to the dot? I would be very confused if I was a Muslim. Who's going to fix this verse and give us the correct meaning in 2025? Maybe Allah can send another messenger after Muhammad with a new Quran to help the confused Muslims. What a mess. And in many other verses you can find how Shu'bah and Hafs are totally different, yet they have one teacher. For example, chapter 5, ayah 67, in the Hafs reading it says Risalatah, which means his message. But in the Shu'bah reading, it says Risalatih, which means his messages. Hafs is in the singular form, his message. But Shu'bah is in the plural form, his messages. This changes the meaning of the verse again. How many messages did the messenger of Allah had to deliver? One message or multiple messages to his people? What a mess. And we only mentioned 2 out of the 52 variants which Ibn Mujahid talked about. As you see, this man-made religion was built on lies and deception. Stay away from Islam.